By thy name, O Lord, these youth of the brilliant morning I invoke. By thy name now I invoke thee, Lion of the midday sun. By thy name, Tom, hawk of the even, crimson splendor of the sunset, I invoke thee. By thy name of Kitover, I invoke thee, O beetle of the hidden mastery of midnight. Lord, I silence, beautiful child, that standest on the dragons of the deep. I invoke thee. By thy name, Apollo, I invoke thee. O man of strength and splendor, O poet, O father. Phoebus, that drivest thy chariot through the heavens of I invoke thee. I invoke thee, O warrior of the north, O renowned of the saga. By thy name, Yeshua, O child of the flaming star, I invoke thee. By thine own, thy secret name, thee I invoke. The names are five, the names are six. In heaven are the names. Behold, I stand in the midst, mine is the symbol of Osiris. To thee are mine eyes ever turned. To the splendor of Kitover, the magnificence of Chesed, the mystery of death, thither I lift up mine eyes. Till I saw, and I saw the strike the master chord. Draw the flaming sword. Child and conquering Lord. By thy name of Ra, I invoke thee, Lord of the sun, the glorious one. By thy name, O Lord, these youth of the brilliant morning I invoke. By thy name now I invoke thee, Strike the master chord. Draw the flaming sword. Crowned child and conquering Lord. Glorious avenger. By thy name of Ra, I invoke thee, hawk of the sun, the glorious one. By thy name of Magus, youth of the brilliant morning, I invoke. By thy name Ra, I invoke thee, light I have a family member who worked on it. Yeah, well, I read it. You, in the original question, which you are dodging, is what part of that? No, which part? No. I asked you the question ahead of time. You asked me the question afterward. My question is more pertinent than yours because you didn't. Yes, it is because you happened to ask me afterward. You asked me afterward. You didn't ask me before. You asked me afterward. So because you asked me afterward, you got to answer the question previous, which is what part of the big ugly bill are you talking about?
Did you read it? If you read it,
Bro, stop asking me if I read it. Tell me your part of the. No, that's an answer of somebody who can't cite me chapter and verse. I'm sorry, federal code says one. It doesn't say three things. It doesn't say two things. It says one thing. Now, if you can't tell us, it means you didn't fucking read it. Which is exactly the problem with people in your position. You don't bother to read the fucking text before you criticize it because if you had, you'd been able to cite me chapter and verse where it's fucked up. Because I can tell you where a couple of it's right. I like the fact that you can't, the fact that you're not willing to be specific is a problem.
Free Marshall, and I appreciate that. And that's not, don't take it personally. I think just it's an opportunity for all of us to be better. Abby, I did find some stuff for you. And it looks like it comes from Federal Reserve. There was a couple articles from Fortune that quoted those numbers, and then I traced it back to their source. Their source was Federal Reserve data. So that's where that comes from. Now, yeah, I could. And then the second thing, which I think is really interesting, I wanted to find the quote or the 50% of college students looking favorable or sympathizing more with Mangione than they did with the victim. And I did find a couple polls on this. And what's interesting is looking through, I found a second. And what's fascinating is I think Joe So we have, this is two sides.
Amen, amen, amen. For he is risen, Christ is born.
What the size of that demographic
Shall be on the first Monday. Fiscal advice. They're going to do. We take what they do as a given, and we.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come.
By the way,
Our Father.
We don't give cars fiscal advice.
Did you bomb a country in the middle of peace negotiations?
yes, because they told me if I didn't do it, they'd say I was being anti-Semitic, and none of my Republican friends would get funded. Tremendous pressure.
Your Honor, he's telling the truth. Donors were calling me like it was a telethon. I advised them it was a lot of permissible self-preservation is a mitzvah.
And he said,
Did you bomb a
someone getting together, and same thing with the tobacco industry, taking them down. You can take down an industry without murdering the CEO. You can do it through our system, through our.
oh, you're hoping this budget watch might fund your campaign for mayor. Not hoping.
counting on it? My great granddad wore it at the.
It's meeting with whoever.
Yeah, okay.
It's not that big.
Harry, Harry, get your fat ass up.
We don't give cars fiscal advice.
It's not like showcasing the options. I'm not saying you're calling
We don't give cars fiscal.
Everything was normal when this guy was walking into his.
I'm all curious what people
say to
Mi
this.
sentite ora, per favore?
The security issue tonight seems to be of concern, and this isn't to blame Homeland Security funding or anything. I heard that with all the protectees in the building, and maybe Abby, you can speak to this, having been to a similar event.
Mi sentite ora, per
All
favore?
the protectees in the building, I heard the security was off the charts everywhere, as would be expected, but it was particularly intense. I don't know if the pundits are talking about this now, but I've been watching.
Grazie, prego.
But I can't understand. The reason I bring this up too is because when someone doesn't breach security or get shots off, it doesn't become a nuisance.
Ha mangiato il ciuchino, eh?
Well, it does to some degree, but we don't typically go deep
Mi
into
sapete che ore sono
their
adesso?
profile, right? Because they were neutralized or nothing happened. So there's a sampling bias with regard to, unless
Sono
I'm
le 7 e
wrong,
un quarto
with regard to the
spacchiamo.
coverage of these
A lei
things.
come fa?
Number
Lei
one.
ci l'ora nelle balle del ciuchino.
Number two, I'm curious about the security issue, because I'm not blaming Trump at all. I'm just curious, it seems like it was very, very intense, and why was there this breach? Because it scared me that if someone can get
President is in a building, when you have an event with the president or the vice president, Secret Service takes over security. So even if you have your own security, or even if it's your local metropolitan police that are securing it, or even your FBI, or all the entranceways and takes over the security protocol.
No, I wasn't a part of it. I had to be at an event where there was an advance team that came to check, and the president ended up coming. This was when Clinton was president. So I understand that aspect, but what I'm asking is, and I'm not blaming the Trump administration, I'm just asking, what about Secret Service and their protocol? Because it seemed like they had this thing covered to a T. But still, this individual got as far as they did. I'm not blaming any side or even the agency. I'm just asking, isn't that a super surprise to people?
Campaign is totally in the toilet. The Epstein file is still dogging his heels. Congress, the Republican GOP can't get anything through. And every single time he's polling like this, he has something to distract.
It's not even remotely accurate.
This is massively a distraction and noise of the proper plan.
So the thing that didn't happen that way. First off, the security around the Hilton is open. Yeah. The Secret Service controls the interior around the ballroom, and it locked it down, which obviously is evident by every video you could possibly download. The outer perimeter towards the ballroom to get the entrance in there was controlled by Capitol Police, DC Metro Police, and various other Secret Service entities. The assailant ran through from the outer perimeter, which is the hotel lobby area, and he basically went running past them. Now, he didn't even breach the second layer, which is the first layer is just the megatrometer and those guys that are just checking you, asking you for your pass. He breached past that and then ran into the second layer, which was clearly armed, in which he was subdued. So he didn't even get to the final layers of security, which would have been around the doors, around the ballroom, and sitting there on the wings on either side of the president and most of the staff there. It's not how it's set up, and it was designed that way because in the Hilton there are other people that are there as well. There are other dignitaries, guys and stuff. Just so they have access to that hallway that you're just not allowed to gain access to the other areas. Now, going forward, I can promise you that if there's ever an event held at the Hilton, they will probably have to be forced to lock down, which would be a shame because now you'll have to move the venue just because of this security protocol. But the security protocols that were enacted tonight did hold, they did respond accurately based on everything that's reported. And I doubt any idiot is going to sit there and tell me that some fucking moron running at full speed as fast as he can after he hastily put together a weapon managed to get a fucking perfect shot off to hit a Secret Service member in the chest through the armor plate at a distance that was safe, that didn't cause massive amounts of trauma while running. That seems kind of, well, I'm going to say either you don't know how firearms work or you watch too much Hollywood in order to actually do any of that stuff. I've ran with firearms, and I can tell you, I can't hit that fucking accurate at that range, even at, I'd have to be like within 5 yards. But you somehow or another, people are going to throw a conspiracy together, and you just sound ridiculous when you actually meet people who know how this shit works.
Kill sounds, it's as someone who's actually been to war and been to campaigns, during their time, and watched how things in political spheres, how things are moved and what is said and not said. It seemed kind of staged, very much so.
Well, and this is also why I brought it up. I don't necessarily buy into the fact that it was staged, but what I wanted to point to, and this again is bipartisan, quote unquote, I guess you could say it that way, is that, you know, if someone had hit a perimeter wall, it would have been newsworthy, but it wouldn't have evacuated. I imagine it wouldn't have called for evacuation. But because he breached security to the degree that he did, it became a much more newsworthy, obviously newsworthy story. I guess what I'm saying is there's a spectrum of events that we hear about every day that gets on the radar of Secret Service, that they either neutralize someone, blah, 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 but, you know, we only...
The reason this got on the news the way it did is because it happened at the Correspondence Center with 2,000 people. It was a gala. Like, it was picked. Like, you're making weird assumptions and correlations that just don't make sense.
No, but what I'm simply saying is that if the gala had continued and there was, and something ricocheted off a perimeter wall outside, it would have made the news, but we wouldn't have gone, the media probably wouldn't go as far as to profile someone to the degree, well, that's inaccurate as well, what I just said. But my point is, the depth of the breach always dictates the coverage that it's going to get. Of course, that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is about the numerous incidents.
But he didn't breach the layers. He was caught by the first layer. Like, he didn't even get to the second layer. Like, they swarmed him. It was done. There's videos online. You can watch the reaction. He never even got to the stairwells. Like, you're saying something like that just doesn't make sense. Either you're ignorant of not knowing how this event unfolded and you're just going based on what you hear, or you're just making it up. Because he never broke through that first tier layers.
Right. I saw the video where he gets through, he's running through the metal.
Yes, he gets through the magnetometer, yes. And then he stopped.
All I'm saying, though, is that and they even talk about this on the news, I think, if they put another set of metal detectors back by the entrance, which wasn't feasible, and there's also more multiple entrances to the lobby, as I understand, then this could have been prevented. And I'm not saying it's entirely necessary. I'm only responding to the fact that the news covers things based on the depth of the breach and the proximity.
No, they covered it because they were all in the fucking room, and then they realized for the first time that, like someone said, that maybe we're partially to blame for creating some of the chaos that's ensuing. So, no, this isn't having anything to do with the layering and pushing it out. Unfortunately, the protocol will probably shift to where prosecution further on to entities like the Hilton going forward will be in a lockdown where there won't be any entrances going
Chicago Mayor Brandon John.
Asking one final question.
But again, he didn't really breach the security. He ran through the magnetometer, surprised a few of the initial responders, then was snared up. And then you saw the covering flanks, which they fanned out in all directions up on the upper levels, as well as around the room. And they were flying down there. He never even got to what you're considering the true security layers. He got through the outer perimeter just by running, and yeah, that's going to happen if some idiot wants to run, but he didn't breach any area. He was ensnared too quickly.
Dr. Jordan, every major correspondent in the media was in that room. I mean, if you're wondering why the press covered it, every single one was in there. And if they weren't in there, they were in the lobby. Their junior reporters were all in the lobby. And every major reporter, every news outlet, from Reuters and AP and every streaming service, and everyone has a table at that event. They're all in there.
But are you saying that, let's say it was the National Electricians Association conference and the president happened to be speaking, are you saying that you don't think it would have gotten the coverage? And what I'm saying, so I understand, it's a very interesting discussion because, well, what I'm saying is that the media, for example, I do not have the first clue I did. Shot, went after President Trump, was on his at the Mar-a-Lago at the golf club at the golf club. I don't remember who was at the golf course, who that perpetrator was. I don't remember very much about him. And you're absolutely right. Obviously, they covered this intensively because every major network, every journalist of prominence was there. But what I find interesting, though, is that we here on Clubhouse, we don't tear things apart if we don't have that much information, right? So, for example, the incident that occurred where, sadly, one of the National Guard's officers, or one of the National Guardsmen was killed, the other one was shot at the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue, and I forget where exactly.
What are you talking about? That was covered on Clubhouse for like a week and a half. And yeah, maybe you don't find the same attention because it wasn't the President of the United States filled with 2,000 members of the mainstream media as well as other dignitaries. Like you had the Vice President and the President in the same room. Of course this is going to be top world news.
That's exactly my point, Brad, is that there are so many variables, and you're talking about major issues, but there are so many variables that go into what I'm calling a security breach. I'm not trying to say that's accurate language. I'm just saying there are so many variables to how and when something gets covered that we lose some of our objectivity with regard to how we criticize the perpetrator, and they're all deserving of criticism and judgment, right? But in this particular case, this is going to stand out far more than, say, the guy who was on the golf course who fired toward the president, right? It wasn't, obviously, there weren't dignitaries in the hotel or on the course. There may have been, but it wasn't as high profile a venue. But the way we're responding to it is in accordance with how much the media can even access to cover, is all I'm saying. And maybe it's a moot point that I even brought it up.
No, I don't think you understand where, like, it was covered on his second well, actually, technically his fifth assassination attempt, but some of the ones are just fucking retarded and stupid and never came to fruition. But this one, the golf course one, was like frontline news. Like it was sitting out.
Either way it go, not good.
As for the way that can be spoken of is not the constant way. As for names, the name that can be named is not the constant name. The nameless is the beginning of the 10,000 things. The named is the mother of the 10,000 things. Therefore those constantly without desires, by this means will perceive its subtlety. Those constantly with desires, by this means will see only that which they yearn for and see. These two things, these two together emerge. They have different names, yet they're called the same. That which is even more profound than the profound, the gateway of all subtleties. When everyone in the world knows the beautiful is beautiful, ugliness comes into being. When everyone knows the good, then the not good comes to be. The mutual production of being and non-being, the mutual completion of difficult and easy, the mutual formulation, the formation of organ straw, the mutual filing of high and low, the mutual harmony of tone and voice, the mutual following of front and back. These are all constants. Therefore the sage dwells in non-active affairs and practices the wordless teaching. The 10,000 things arise, but he doesn't begin them. He acts on their behalf, but he doesn't make them dependent. He accomplishes his tasks, but he doesn't dwell in them. It is only because he doesn't dwell in them that they therefore do not leave him. By not elevating the worthy, you bring it about that people will not compete. By not valuing goods that are hard to obtain, you bring it about that people will not act like thieves. By not displaying the desirable, you bring it about that people will not be confused. Therefore, in the government of the sage, he empties their minds and fills their bellies, weakens their ambition, and strengthens their bones. He constantly causes the people to be without knowledge and without desires. If he can bring it about that those with knowledge simply do not dare to act, then there is nothing that he will not be in order. The way is empty, yet when you use it, you never need fill it again. Like an abyss, it seems to be the ancestor of 10,000 things. Not the constant way. As for names, the name that can be named is not the constant name. surrender and you believe and know that good things are going to happen, the good things show up.
You get to ask one press conference than you've ever had before, and they go, if it not the access we want, I go, accessibility always available on the way to Marine One.
He brings ticket to like your 132
For anybody else, you want to make sure that you're covering those issues and the programs that the administration is putting forward, and making sure that you're hitting all of that, all of those notes. But you also know that when you write a speech for Donald Trump, that he's going to go off script. And so when you're working your way through it, you're looking for those spots where he can go back to items that he's comfortable with, that he'll riff on. But the most part, it's like writing a speech for anybody else. You just have to get those pieces in. What I was going to say, just to follow up on your point of access, I always made the argument that President Trump was the most accessible president we've ever had. He doesn't do press conferences as others, but he's almost always available on the way to Marine One. He brings the press into the Roosevelt room, into the cabinet room, into the Oval Office, as you mentioned. And that level of accessibility is fantastic. What I heard from reporters was it was also exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Exhausting, and they always had to be prepared. So, and I did not understand this.
All right, pull that out.
Well, we're giving you more access than you've ever had before. And they go, if it's not the access we want. I go, what do you mean by that? And they said, we want to go in there with a list of questions that we've prepared and we're ready to go in a press conference. When we get called in at the moment's notice and have to shout over our reporters and maybe get to ask one, yes, we have access, but we don't have the quality access, I guess, that they were looking for. And that's a difference.
I would say that those impromptu moments are all.
Yeah, I see it. Just a second. We have an issue here at the head table at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. If we could go to that full screen, it looks like the head table has been evacuated. I saw Oz Perlman talking with Mr. and Mrs. Trump, and they are evacuating. Looks like they're taking all the security folks out of there at this point.
All right.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're not gonna say that. They're not gonna say that.
But I find it interesting that he said something about access. It's like people have full access to this thing. I find that interesting.
So, in my opinion, I don't think so.
And Shannon Charity, who said the only man that can wear a skirt and heels and still steal your woman. Yes, that was right, Kevin. Yes, he could steal your woman easily. And there's one like this famous photo of him standing between two women on a couch. It's just like amazing. I love that. That man was all things.
Is Lenny Kravitz gay?
No, I think he was inspired by people like Prince. Personally, I don't think he's gay. I think he's also again one of those men that can show his feminine side, but still be very masculine at the same time. There's very few people can do that.
Yeah, I love Lenny Kravitz. That's just what you guys are there fighting for.
Speaking of Lenny, is he still performing? Like, is he still like?
As far as I know, he's performing. You guys know?
I mean, he's in good shape. I see him in, like, he lives in the Bahamas, look like it, and you know.
Yeah, he's very selective. He's really artistic, about his choices of what he does musically. But I really like his daughter, Zoe Kravitz. Only problem that I think she made in her life was being with Drake for a little bit. How's that girl's problem?
I like Zoe Kravitz too.
Also Prince.
Zoe is who's the mom?
Did she do Sinfonista on it or no?
Oh, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Michael, I'm sorry.
Prince also used to play basketball in like 6-inch heels and beat everybody.
That sounds like him. That makes me just want to some more.
I had to see.
Also,
I put in the chat that Jay-Z
I'm
is
confused now.
Also, my dad hung out with Prince, so I got that claim to
That's so
fame.
cool.
Yeah. The song. Yeah, I'm in St. Paul. Yeah, the song Raspberry Beret, where he says, "Working for Mr. Mickey. Mickey is my family name."
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Damn, dude.
I remember that. Yeah.
You should start shit running. Didn't that remind Prince of that? I heard that messed him up. That's why he was taking so many painkillers and stuff for doing that type of stuff, like playing ball and
Probably.
performing on the stage. He used to perform on the stage. I heard that's why he was taking a lot of painkillers.
So I know some people that work with Prince at Sunset Studio. I know they were, and they said that Prince had what he did ecstasy too, but you know, it doesn't really matter.
I've been to Paisley Park twice, and they have most of the exhibits are just there permanently, but they have one that rotates. And one time it was all of his shoes, and he had a cobbler that went with him on tour, and they would have a whole bunch of replacement heels because he always broke heels. So they had a whole bunch of replacement heels, and the cobbler could attach a new heel to the shoe, and he'd be back out there.
That is so crazy.
Of course he would have his own personal cobbler. Of course he would.
Right.
You know the most amazing thing about
Okay, you guys ready?
Prince is their business.
And we got a two-part thing going on. Okay, this is juicy, and I hope you guys hang around for it because after tonight there will be no more membership paying. I totally forgot I had this membership. I've been paying for it all this time. So, yeah, this is. I don't know if you guys even know Will Smith's best friend Bilal, but some kind of war he's having with Jada is the first part, and then we'll have to do part 2 tomorrow because this is gonna be enough for me after you guys hear this. But the first part is y'all hang around because it's Bilal's in it.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
You just blew my mind. Are you telling me Bilal is gay?
I don't know.
Oh my God! All this time. So some of those songs are about a dude, right? That's a trip.
I said with Jada.
I mean, it's cool and all. I'm just saying, like, it flips my whole mind around, you know?
What songs are about a guy?
He's got a sick album. That one album he came out with, and it's got that crazy song on it. It's a masterpiece. But I always wonder what the inspiration for that song was, or what it was all about. What you say?
Old Sister's about a guy. He's really talking about a man.
You know Bilal? Do you know Bilal?
Yeah, I'm telling you one of the songs he has.
Oh, okay. You know this Hollywood track?
Nah.
Okay, the album with the Hollywood track. But then there was another song on there.
Is this the same Bilal?
B-I-L-A-L.
Bilaal, who is Will's best friend.
Oh, that might be a different one. Because there's a singer named Bilal. B-I-L-A-L.
With the braids. Yeah, the braids. He made a song called Soul Sister. You're my soul.
Yeah, I know Soul Sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one was something kind of winter or something like that, you know. He made that butterfly track. Yeah, Bilal's fun.
Okay.
I told him this, but we met him before. I told him Maxwell is gay. I know a lot of people not gonna believe it, but you gotta meet these people in person.
I would not fight you on it.
be surprised, actually.
Yeah, me either.
Well, Matt's one now. I wouldn't be surprised.
Ascension. It's just another dimension to the artist. You know, I'm not even tripping on it.
I know.
I have hardly any interest about their sexuality, really. It's just that song's lyrics.
Except for.
Like Luther, that tripped me out. Now, Luther, you know.
Oh, why would Luther trip you out?
Because I grew up with Luther, and I never even imagined it until after he got skinny, people started saying that.
It would have surprised me. I don't really care.
I didn't care.
Oh man, what's this thing? She always talked about Luther. Oh, damn, I forgot her name.
So, Elder, are you telling me that you listen to Superstar and you thought he was singing to a dude?
I don't know what Luther that was. No, Freddie Jackson.
Now, I didn't know that about Freddie. Are you serious right now?
Well, Freddie was no.
Think about it up. I do think these guys really wanted to document what was happening, and we'll see what's happening. I don't know about you guys, but so far I haven't seen anything that seems like their accounts have been widely inaccurate so far. So this might be a blessing in disguise in a way, because we actually might have maybe not some fake news to come out of this. We actually might have some but
Yeah,
Yeah, Matt, this the whole thing. So, like, let's take the account. Wolf could have been a victim. He could have been shot. I mean, had this guy breached through the 6 layers of security, managed to beat all the guys with M4s, somehow overpowered with his flash-like superhero speed, zipped in there and started spraying the room, Wolf could have been hit. Doubt it. It's probably highly unlikely. But given that event, maybe he feels a particular way. Maybe he's like AOC, Matt, where she said she felt like the knock at the door with the Capitol Police coming to secure when she wasn't even in the Capitol building at the January 6th convention, and how fearful she was, and she made up this really grand tale about how she was hiding and barricaded under her desk. And it turns out that was all just BS, and she wasn't even in the Capitol at that time. So, I mean, again, he's just taking a pause, but to other speakers' points, they're right. They have a right to be upset because they are tired of seeing the people and the laws because they were told, go out and vote, I'll make a change. Your voice matters when you vote. And they were told to sit back and do what they wrote. They followed the laws, they followed the voting patterns, they listened, and the left called them the Trump supporters, if you go to a Trump rally, they're not listening. Usually the culprit, 99.9% of the time, it's the fucking twits that are fucking going to do the protest because they're libtards and they're wannabe fake Antifa fucking mock-ups where they're pretending they're some fucking soldier of fortune. Yep, and trying to fucking do that shit. And then these guys have to suffer the consequences. Meanwhile, they get infringements on their rights under states. They get told that they're going to be doxxed. You have politicians now saying, oh, you wait, we're going to go around and figure out who voted for Republicans. They even were told that their service to the nation as a soldier wasn't good enough post-January 6th, and there were calls to remove Republicans from the fucking military by fucking politicians. So, yes, these people
that can be named is not the constant name.
They should all be
The nameless
absolutely
is the beginning of the 10,000 things.
Like me and others
The
aren't
name
really
is the
chomping at
mother
the
of
bit
the
to go out and level them.
10,000
Not yet.
things.
But if you continue down this
Therefore,
pathway,
those
yes,
constant
and then you're going to
without
cry victim,
desires,
and no one's going to hear it
magazines will
because again,
perceive its
we don't
subtlety.
care. Like, you're coming to the point where these servants just do not fucking care.
See only that which they yearn for and see.
I was gonna say.
These two things, these two together to merge. They have different names, yet they're called the same. That which is even more profound than the profound. The gateway of all subtleties. When everyone in the world knows the beautiful is beautiful, ugliness comes into being. When everyone knows the good, then the not good comes to be. The mutual production of being and non-being, the mutual completion of difficult and easy, the mutual formulation, the formation of long and short, the mutual filing of high and low, the mutual harmony of tone and voice, the mutual following front and back. These are all constant. Therefore the sage dwells in active affairs and practices the wordless teaching. The 10,000 things arise, but he doesn't begin them. He acts on their behalf, but he doesn't make them dependent. He accomplishes his tasks, but he doesn't dwell in them. It is only because he doesn't dwell in them that they therefore do not leave him. By not elevating the worthy, bring it about that people will not compete. By not valuing goods that are hard to obtain, you bring it about that people will not act like thieves. By not displaying the desirable, you bring it about that people will not be confused. Therefore, in the government of the sage, he empties their minds and fills their bellies, weakens their ambition and strengthens their bones. He constantly causes the people to be without knowledge and without desires. If he can bring it about that those with knowledge simply do not dare to act, then there is nothing that he will not be in order. The way is empty, yet when you use it, you never need fill it again. Like an abyss, it seems to be the answers empty.
And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed.
Chicago, we're free to move. For our top story tonight. I'm John Kitover, Libertarian. I'm John Kitover.
Well,
As for the way that can be spoken of is not the constant way. As for names,
and
the name.
his producer, and I'm not gonna dox her, but she is real savvy. I always said, what's your really like, blah, blah, blah. And I always got the impression that I've never met anybody who was an objective, professional reporter. And tonight, I haven't followed him that closely over the years, but I've just seen him here and there. But I was really struck by this because it was alarming, and maybe it's just 10% of 1%. So incidental, it's but the fact that he said, I was worried over and over.
No one realizes that as long as Adam Sandler is alive.
Target, and admittedly, it was a scary moment. But then I rehashed it in my mind. I'm thinking, wow, in some ways, he is exploiting this opportunity. I hope not. But to think that he would, lots of prominent public figures, the way that he said it was a little disturbing to me. And I'm not doing this to kiss the ass of.
No, I believe him. He's got an abnormally large.
Yeah, and first off, you're not doxing Emily. Emily's pretty much a public figure anyway. She comes on fucking social media all the time. I know who she is. I know her too. Like,
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Shut up.
Yeah, Thomas.
Get out of here, man. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, anyway, Emily doesn't care if you dox her. Her name's in prominent displays up there at a fucking news coverage channel. Anyway, she's on the screen 24/7. She's even called him a pompous ass. She doesn't like all the shit he says. But at the end of the day, she's still on her knees. I've had talks with her. She's not a bad person. She's got a job to do. But
Did you know that nearly half of U.S. TV
at times, it's, quote, your sensationalism that actually kind of conveys it. And she goes, it's a show, and I get paid to work on a show.
The person I'm talking about.
Jeremy time is on road here.
Texas. She teaches she's a courtesy professor at a university in Boston, not one of the bigger ones. And she's married with kids, and she hasn't been with CNN for over 10 years now.
But anyway, Wolf Blitzer's producer is Emily Atkinson. It's not like it's not unknown. She's gone on Twitter or she goes on X and talks about shit all the time.
The reason I wouldn't want to dox this particular person is because this person is behind the scenes, and she wouldn't want people to know that she shared anything with me about Wolf Blitzer. That's the only reason. It has nothing to do with her.
You just said the producer, and I know M's the fucking producer. So that's who's producing. Like, you're not making sense.
I don't know why.
Go pass that mic around.
It's easy to set up your own CT.
Honestly, fuck Wolf Blitzer. He's a bitch. He tries to always make shit about himself. I never liked him from the start.
I thought he was pretty good when he was doing the Gulf War. Like, you remember in the beginning Kuwait, and he was reporting like in the early days. I mean, I thought he was pretty good then.
True, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree. It was a long time ago, but I gotta give him that. And that's kind of what jump-started his career.
Maybe he's not relevant enough anymore because what happened, which was kind of funny, was that people after he went on his
TV
after his reporting, other CNN personalities and anchors said, "Wow, Wolf Blitzer's seen all kinds of things in his life as a professional journalist, and he's clearly very upset by this incident." And who wouldn't be if you were that close to being shot, I suppose? But they weren't even struck by his response. And maybe he is self-important. I didn't used to pay that much attention to him. I'm curious if anyone saw Van Jones talking on that similar segment, because he called somebody out and I couldn't hear who he was talking about, if anyone saw that part. One of the fellow journalists on the panel.
You were probably the annoying viewer. talking in this room. There had been a bunch of Trump voters that didn't watch CNN. Come on, man.
Well, Pepe might have been watching CNN.
Joe, when's the last time on CNN?
Oh, hell, I couldn't even remember. I'd have to think about it.
They didn't kill the shooter, right? They got him arrested.
Not to distract. The last good host on CNN was Larry King. He was pretty good.
We gotta send that fucking piece of shit to Guantanamo Bay. Honestly, there needs to be people who, we gotta make an example out of these fuckers.
Are they releasing any manifesto or anything? Has anything come out about this guy?
No manifesto yet, but my question is, he was at the Hilton across the street, right?
No, it was at the Washington Hilton. It's at the Washington Hilton every year. It's a very big ballroom, and it's a big hotel. And it's been there, I don't know, someone could
Is that
check.
across from the White House?
Not exactly.
So,
It's not, it's right there, but it's, you know, not exactly across. I forget what's across street.
So you guys can tell me that I have Trump derangement syndrome or that I'm a new acolyte, but I thought it was very wise of him, or very creative, very smart and coincidental. He mentioned that this is a great reason why we're building the new ballroom over at the White House. I mean, I gotta give it to him. Whether that's true or not, that was brilliant, right? Like that was him being brilliant. At first, I said to myself, "What bullshit?" And then I'm like, "Hey, you know how can the collective disagree with that?" I mean, this is where he's brilliant in finding opportunity to either reinforce truth or maybe mess with them a little bit to make it make sense. And I'm curious how you all feel about that.
Well, he wasn't the first president to push it. Secondly, I always find this like laudable. Like, I guess it's privately funded, so it's not costing the taxpayers a dime. Secondly, we should have a ballroom in the fucking White House. We have dignitaries, heads of states from other areas. It's an easier place to secure. You can't get the mass of people there. There's multiple layers of security, defensive networks.
Do you believe in the God in the sense of a divine being
in that kind of area?
or
I
punishes
think
people
Nixon has
after
to run for
Well, I have a different attitude about divine. I feel that we have divinity within us. And the more we express it in part of our lives, and the more the divine within us expresses itself. I suppose I would call myself a pagan by religion. And there's many others who travel around the world who get quite a bit of the feeling of all religions have so much alike in the divine part of our own being. And I suppose you just couldn't put that in a book, or you couldn't put it into a phrase or a sentence.
Do you believe in sin? When I say believe, I don't mean to believe in committing sin. Do you believe there is such a thing as a...
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. That, to me, is the greatest sin people can commit.
But sin in the ordinary sense that we regard it.
It's what they're building the White House will not hold this many people. It's probably always going to be in a venue like this. If it's not in this venue, it will be moved to the convention center. Do you know DC at all? Do you know the convention center? Have you ever been to an event? It's part like where the Marriott Marquis and the convention center are
I never
one
liked
big complex. Based on the size of this event, how
it has more ingress points. It just...
No, but they can lock that down.
I know they do lock it down,
Lock that
but...
down. And same with the Marriott Marquis kind of, they're in the same building. The walkways there. But that would have to be the big venue. It's a bigger event than what they're going to be able to house at the White House.
Just some breaking news. The suspect has finally spoke, and I put it in the chat too. But he said that he told law enforcement that after that he had intended to target officials within the Trump administration. So he has confessed his motive. Just to let everybody know.
Well, we knew that.
I know, but people are always wondering on this stage what was his intention really. You know what I mean?
True.
Exactly. Actually, for those who didn't watch CNN, which is apparently all of you but me, a lot of Van Jones, others are very supportive of Trump, as they should be about his safety, but they were very supportive about the fact that actually that he wanted to, this was interesting because they know that the event would have had to be moved based on the circumstances that tonight. But they were also actually very supportive of his interest in kind of fighting back and wanting to not succumb to the threats of what they call, they didn't necessarily say domestic terrorists, but so it was very interesting. CNN had a couple other people. Who was on else tonight? I have to go look. You'll see if you watch the recordings, but they were pretty supportive of some of what he said before he even made his statement, his actions, right as it was happening.
So how many assassinations so far?
Well, we were trying to, I mean, actual attempts, if you add in what we just talked about, the Iranian attempt where the guy just got convicted.
Yeah.
So you have, so you have the one in Butler, you have the one at the golf course. There was something that was not an attempt and it falsely got reported as an attempt. There's actually a guy from Nevada that drove down to an event in Arizona, and he is a big Trump supporter, but what's legal to have in your car in Nevada with guns is not legal in, I believe it, I may be wrong, I think he was driving to Arizona, not California, and it was not legal in Arizona, and his car got stopped. So they were trying, it got reported that he was heading to a Trump rally, which in fact he was, and he got roughed up by the sheriff department that stopped him, but he was cleared of everything, and there was no issue. So that was not an assassination attempt, although it got reported initially that it was, just because of the weapons. The guy had weapons in his car, because he always has weapons in his car, and it's perfectly fine in Nevada, but not where he was.
And also the guy in the tree, right?
The guy in the tree was... No, wait.
The fourth one?
No, so the guy in the tree was the Trump International golf course. So
Well,
that's...
there's another one, like in the hunting thing at the top of the tree, overlooking the airport.
In Palm Beach?
Yeah, yeah.
It's on the tarmac, the airport.
Oh, okay, so that's 3
you had the
plus the
podium.
Iranian is 4, so this would be 5.
He had the podium during his campaign speech where the guy ran up on stage.
So he can't be stopped. Poison? They keep trying our president, don't they? Actually, wasn't Erica Kirk at this event? She running away in tears. Like, her husband was killed at a similar style shooting. I mean, who's safe anymore? That's the real fucking question. Who's safe anymore? This shit is just crazy. This happened at our federal government event. Yeah, tomorrow or Monday, the Democrats, Chuck Schumer's going to go on the House floor and say, well, it's Trump's fault.
Did Bush Jr. have any during his term?
He hit a shoot-through at him in Baghdad. He hit the fucking sandals.
I think, was he the one that had the grenade thrown at him? I think he might have been one. Or was that somebody else? That was Obama, maybe. Do you guys remember that incident or no?
I remember the shoe.
It was overseas. Someone threw a grenade. I wish president was. I think it was Bush Jr. And it just didn't go off. It was over in one of these, I don't know, like Croatia or something. I don't even know, some country like that.
That was Bush.
So Bush did have one there.
There was a grenade. It was one attempt. And till the BC, whatever it was, I can't even remember it.
Georgia,
that's what it was. I don't think Clinton had any, really, that I'm aware of, right? It seems like all those guys get unscathed on anything too major.
I just feel like sometimes there's an attempt, but with Trump, like when there's an attempt on a president, the Secret Service will like hunker down, they'll figure out any of their weaknesses, and they'll get back to like top notch.
Yeah.
with Trump, for some reason, and I'm not blaming the Secret Service here, but for some reason,
Going backwards.
keeps happening.
Yeah.
No, well, first off,
There
I'd wait
was
till you
one for
finish.
Clinton.
Wait, there's the guy who shot, like, I can't remember, he just unloaded at the White House when Clinton was inside, and then there was was it 95, 96 plot to kill him overseas. So he had 2 assassination attempts on Clinton.
You know, could this be the new norm? I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. It's just something that's going to be severe by every president going forward. I mean, just throwing it out there. I don't know.
So far there's like I think there's over 25 cases, successful federal prosecutions against people for making threats against the president and or his family, with enough evidence to actually jail them. So, I mean, you know, that, like, for all the people online saying that they're, you know, really happy or do some stupid things, just understand they're going after you. You just may not be caught today, but you'll eventually get caught. And I think when the Butler happened, what was it, like 15,000 cases are still ongoing for investigation by the Secret Service for threats against presidents in total, so that are still considered active. So I mean, they're going through a long list of them.
A lot of these leftists do want to see our president murdered in cold blood.
It's because he's white. They want because he's white. It's racist. He intended to target officials within the Trump administration. So he has confessed his motive. Just let everybody know.
A lot of them have.
Oh, we knew that.
I know, but people are always wondering on this stage what was the tension really.
No,
You know
but
what I mean?
real shit though.
True.
Teflon Donnie.
And they own all the big media companies, so they
To the white liberal, white nationalists that want to leverage and traffic in racism.
Want to look 20 years younger and feel developed?
It has been plagued by deeply disturbing ethics.
Experiences the power
And it's about political text.
And there are people that are fundamentally embedded into American fabric society that really want to take him out. And it's the people that look like him that trap him. You haven't seen even this many attempts on Obama's life.
So I think so.
Together, you know what I mean? In my opinion, I've seen, in my 45 years of living, this is the best president I've seen in my lifetime.
If we're such a racist country, why do you vote in Obama? And I thought they would try to kill Obama.
With Obama?
More
Obama was operating but Obama was to the guys running in with guns, and they were screaming. I mean, don't get it twisted, because the first
In each case, when entering businesses, like the one right here, are
savvier in terms of dealing with, politics and understanding it more. I became unfucked from that mindset anyway. But with Trump, here's a man, honestly, in my opinion, that he said he's the least racist president that we've seen. But I personally don't think he's racist or not, because I think that's more about you, and if you are racist, I mean, you're a politician. It's a big bet when you got right? At the end of the day, that's his calling call. Trump is about, he's not even about the money. Think about this man that's dealt with billions and billions of dollars for 4 to 5 decades, right? So I believe that he's doing this shit for legacy. He wants to go down as the greatest president ever, who did all of this amazing shit that he's been talking about for 40 fucking plus years. And for the very most part, he's achieved, if not half, almost all of those goals. Right? Because it also, yeah, exactly. But he's also doing it for himself in terms of legacy. But what he's also doing in the process of that, he's saying, fuck the power system, the powers that be.
he's going against that grain and exposing a lot of other underlying shit that doesn't just look one way. It doesn't indict all the Republican racists and Democrats are pro-black. No, it actually indicts the liberal party and their access to evil and rooting and trafficking and things like that. At the same time, it highlights the obvious, right? But that's the thing. The whole core of the racial issue is like, I think, a proxy to cover up something a little bit more nefarious. Because at the end of the day, let's go with the facts. This guy doesn't give a fuck if you're Benjamin Netanyahu on air or if you're Obama. He will criticize. He tells you exactly how he fucking feels and what he plans to do about certain shit. And when he says he's going to do something, doesn't matter how long it takes, he ends up doing it, right? Even if it goes against his own party.
Or the other party comes around
shit.
to our side.
You know what I mean?
Or the other party comes around to our side.
Yeah, either or. It's just, for him, it's just like the agenda. And his agenda is not the powers that be's agenda. You see what I'm saying? So is he playing to a certain tune? Yeah, but it's his own. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that everybody gets so riled up with the racist rhetoric shit. And really, I don't think that that's the fair indictment of him. I don't believe that he's having
There's no proof of it.
as everybody would pretend. I think
it's a made-up claim.
I think he's matter-of-factly about his position about, the solutions that he has. But the whole racism trope, that's a whole fucking liberal thing. If anything, they're probably some of the most racist people I've ever come across myself personally. With this whole shit, I mean, it's like, why? One should have to wonder, what is it about what he's doing that makes people really want to kill this man? And if you start really unpacking it truthfully and without bias, I think you'll get past a lot of the layering and racist tropism and shit like that and get to something a lot more nefarious.
It's not just that. Like, what we have now is the fact that, and I'm not going to throw all the Democrats in there because there are some that are just sitting there going, I can't co-sign the shit that's going on in the left, and they're calling it out daily. Fuck, you got Fetterman, you got you got Frankenstein about to cross the aisle. He's probably going to go independent, but I mean, he might as well just cross the aisle and just get it done with. According to the left, they've turned on him. You've got like fucking idiots like Bill Maher out there. He's not an idiot, but I mean, still, at the end of the day, you have this guy sitting there trying to, like push people and saying, where are the Democrats at? Because this isn't the party that I was a part of. And you have a lot more crossing over onto the Republican side. I'm just sitting here watching this, and when the left loses, they do become violent. They do attack. If you hear a conservative speech, you don't hear Trump, you don't hear Vance, you don't hear anybody really sitting there condemning and saying that the left is a threat to fucking your existence. You may have people now saying this because, quite frankly, they're tired of getting shot at, they're tired of getting beaten in the streets, they're tired of like being doxxed online. But the odd thing is that the left is losing their shit. They can't make Target close their stores. They can't boycott Tesla enough, which is really stupid. I don't know why they were going around damaging Teslas, because quite frankly, it was them that bought the fucking things. But they continuously jump and flip. There's no line. There's nothing to bring. And so whatever affects them as a group, they just virtue signal and become violent. And then they're screaming, "Oh no! We're the ones standing on the right side of history." And you can't win with a group like that. You just can't. And Americans don't want to co-sign in mass, which is evidenced by the last fucking election that Trump took all of the swing states, not even close, and the majority of swing counties. Like, it wasn't even a fucking match. And it's weird. If they actually realize, like, hey, maybe our message isn't sinking in with the majority of Americans, maybe we're the ones that are wrong, maybe people would like, hey, you know what, why don't you take a few years to figure that shit out, and then let's put reasonable people back into play. But the left can't do that.
SPLC for funding Charlottesville. Are you familiar with that?
No, educate me about it.
So the Southern Poverty Law Center was just indicted last week for funding right-wing extremists to throw a protest called Charlottesville. And this was during Trump's first term. They then framed Trump as the racist when he said something like, well, there's good people on both sides.
Oh, yeah, I remember playing the clip of that. Do you know what?
Yes.
Did you watch the whole 4 minutes?
Well, yeah, no, for sure, I'm familiar with that. But look, Joe Biden, when he declared for to run for president for the 2020 election, he said, "I'm running because of Charlottesville." So now it's all come out in this indictment. They're not guilty yet, but it's all come out in this indictment. That the Southern Poverty Law Center is funding the racism that they intend to fight against. So the racist trope is completely manufactured from a cottage industry. And the left and the Democrats seize on it to advance their agenda.
Well, you know,
to this.
I was talking about this in the other group. I was literally talking about this in the other group, and I played the 4-minute thing. He literally, in the same 4 minutes, utterly obliterated and condemned white supremacists and white nationalists. And even, I believe, in the same year of 2019, there's a joint House resolution that designated white nationalists and racists as domestic terrorists, which could imply that if you're on one side of the law enforcement, if you deem them or connect a nexus to them in white nationalism, would exonerate you of, any criminal repercussions, be getting rid of a citizen or you getting rid of a terrorist. So it's an identifier, right? So the whole thing that the left is leveraging, racism, like Joe Biden's goofy ass saying, you have a hard time figuring out whether to vote for me or Trump, that you ain't black. I'd have slapped the dog shit out that bitch ass motherfucker. Like, I would definitely ask him what kind of audacity did he get from where, because, like, that is one of the most egregious shit.
You would have had to beat corn pop to that.
Yeah, and corn pop too, and yeah, there's so much shit about him. He's the real motherfucking racist. If
You really want to know something about Biden's legacy? Go look up the 78-79 Biden policy, which he took from fucking, if I can remember. It's how he pushed for an allocation on schools for school funding.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, all that shit, and how the funding actually worked, and how it actually promoted and actually allowed more segregation while it was codified under law, and denied funds to fucking black majority schools in the country. Meanwhile, he's lauded as a great hero for civil fucking rights. I'm sitting there going,
I never saw him in pictures with fucking Rosa Parks, and he never gave money to Jesse Jackson. He didn't give money to the Black Panthers or fly Nelson Mandela in. He didn't sit with Michael Jackson in the goddamn courtroom on both trials every single day. He didn't house Jennifer Hudson and her entire fucking family after they were massacred for 6 months. I mean, it's just so much about Trump in his personal life that he didn't even never even speak on, which even lets you more know that he's not on that shit. He's been a part of the black community, or not black community, black culture in his sense, since guy. Right? He's even on the fucking Wu-Tang album in the early 2000s and shit. Nobody started saying that he was a racist until he ran for office as a Republican. Then they start talking about all the other shit. See, the other thing about it is too, and this is where I might give you guys both sides of the shit, because I can't exonerate white nationalists and white racists too. So if you feel indicted by it, just check your heart. Only thing I would say, if it doesn't, feel any kind of way about it, just roll with me on this. As a black man in America, I understand the nature of how this country was built upon, right? And I understand we want to move forward past it. So it's hard to do without reparation, and it's hard to do without admitting facts and just correcting history. But I would say to you this. The racist trope is valid to a degree. He validates Trump's ideology, even though I believe in a lot of ways he is a scapegoat. He validates the anxieties
and the complaints that other ethnic groups, especially Black Americans, say about white Europeans. On one hand, he's an embarrassment. On the other hand, he builds up or props up white nationalists because they want to align with him, even though he rejects them vehemently, right? That being said, I feel like it's fucked up because he might not be nearly half of the guy that everybody purports him to be. But at the same time, his existence highlights an undercurrent that has never been really fully fleshed out.
Well,
Right? So we have to deal with that.
here, bear with me a moment. So, when Trump came down, his first statement was he wanted a 6-month moratorium on all Muslim immigrants, right? You remember that?
Right.
Okay. So, bear with me because this is a bit of it's a road to get there, but it's not. I'll say it really quick. The people that have the loudest vocal racist cries against Trump tend to be immigrants. They tend to be of a certain persuasion. These are also the same individuals who go and set up shops in black communities or impoverished areas and watch how they actually treat black Americans as if they were lower than dog shit, as if they don't, it's scum. They complain, they scream, they say all sorts of things. But when it's convenient or when they feel that, oh wait, I can gain a grift off of this, they literally jump on the backs of black Americans saying, you sit down, you're at the back of the line. I'm the one that's being oppressed. And they jump above it trying to take over and narrate the story of black Americans. And that's the issue I have with a lot of those tropes, like in Ilhan Omar.
Right. That's fucking accurate. We have our battles on certain days. I think on Mondays and Tuesdays we get along and agree. On Wednesdays and Thursdays we fight and argue. But I'll tell you this, brother, what you just said was accurate and it was wise and this is the truth. And that's the thing that I try to tell some of my people about this war, if you will. It's not even a war against black and white. It's really about good and evil, right? And the devil is a manipulator. He sets the stage. If you keep people divided, then they can't never come together. And there's going to be constant war. You can hedge your bet because you can both bet on both sides of the situation. And whoever wins, even though there's no winner, the adversary wins in that, right? But when you're dealing with intelligent minds that can see the manipulation, that's why I'm not feeling no fucking kind of way because I be thinking about the Democrats who be like, well, you should be outraged and you're an Uncle Tom. But when I let them know when they use that trope, I know you didn't read the book because the protagonist in that book was Sambo, right? So it lets me know that that's ignorant. But then the other side of it is why do you want me to be so offended? Right? Like people talk about Venezuela. Do you know the Venezuelans were happy about what Trump did? Iran, same thing. Nigeria, same thing. But they want motherfuckers to be outraged so you could leverage that to validate trying to assassinate him and his character. Or trying to devalue the good work that he actually is and has been doing. Right? Because I saw eggs go down, shit, in the top of the year. When I came back to America just to stop in, I got gas for $1.72. It's in my PTR. You feel me? When everybody else paying all this, I'm like, how the fuck is y'all complaining about this dude? So it's like, in the world's eyes, you have to have a villain story to kind of scapegoat or bypass a lot of other shit that nobody really wants you to pay attention to. So I agree with you there. And in terms of those immigrants, we know that they're not our partners. We just saw the Latino fucking officer in Houston, Texas, talking about how good she do. Like, you know what I'm saying? We know that there are other motherfuckers that come to this country that's racist as shit, that are real racist. And then they talk about our oppression like we should feel a way about it. I'm like, well, look, at the end of the day, to me, like, yeah, I feel safer in South America and shit. But I ask, you know all this shit, why the fuck would you want to come to America? Because the lighter their skin is, oh, we think we can get in. I was in the elevator with my motherfucker, and they was talking about that shit. And I said, hey, and where I come from, y'all Colombians, y'all worse than niggers. You guys will be treated lower than black Americans, right? So that being fucking said, like, don't think that this is just because your skin. Once you start speaking that Walla put your ass in a Dorito boat too. So it's not like, you know what I'm saying, like the America is a shit stain that only Americans can really
wanted to say I put in the chat a couple links. There was an incident when Trump was leaving the dinner. A woman came running out in front of his motorcade, going after the motorcade. There was a pro-Palestinian protest happening outside while the event was going on, and she was one of the people from the protest. I also put in the chat some of the protesters that were inside the lobby area, you know, that hallway we were talking about, Code Pink. Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that also occurs is there's all these other parties that are happening at the same time, and then leading into the itself. So that's why there's also so many people in the hallway. They're already in the building at like pre-parties and maybe the AP, different news outlets host different events, and so it's kind of like, imagine a convention center. You know, it's chopped up. There's the big ballroom, but then there's all these smaller rooms where they're having other events. So that also enabled a lot of the people to have access inside the building and these protesters. And then the third thing I put in the chat was the signage after he was leaving calling for his death to him as a tyrant.
What's
Code Pink is, oh boy, get me on that subject. It's an organization, very, very left, you know, like a communist left, advocates and protesters that it's run by this woman, Malia, I think I'm probably saying her name wrong. Medea, thank you.
Yeah.
And her co-founder Jody, who was married, or I don't know if still married to Roy. I'm so bad with names. It's Lee Singham, that's lives in China, involved with the Communist Party. So that's where their funding comes from. And they're an extreme political acts group, and you'll often see them. This may sound familiar to you. They hang out in the halls of Congress, and they go after members of Congress, Senate, and try to corner them. And the older lady, like blonde, very, very wormy looking, like mousy, wormy looking. Yeah, that's her.
She attacked Trump.
Mousy, wormy looking, and diabolical.
The interesting part is the funding for them is related to this Roy, is it Singham or Bingham, who lives in Shanghai, and their fund is the funding behind them, and
They're funded by China indirectly, you know, through multiple entities. But I think somebody or some entity in government actually found out that they were being funded directly by China, and you know that's where they're getting their funds. So it's like hats off to China for creating an operation called Code Pink that just screams at military personnel as they walk by. They're almost as bad as the Westboro Baptist fucker.
Oh yeah, I just looked it up. It says New York Times reports that Neville Roy Singham, who's based in Shanghai, and accused of supporting CCP, was funding Code Pink. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, it's exactly who I'm talking about. Yeah, and it's under federal investigation now.
Is he American? Neville Roy Singham?
It sounds like a British name, but he's married to this is it Jodie Evans? I can't remember her last name.
Oh, he's married to that old lady?
No, not the old lady. The old lady's the other founder of Code Pink. Jodie something. But anyway, you often see them on television because you'll see them accosting different members of Congress. Or they go into the hearings and they disrupt them. I put a video in the chat of them in the hallway outside of them.
So they were part of this?
assassination attempt? No, I'm saying that they were trying to explain the temperature of what was happening outside the actual dinner and who has access to it, and there was protests going on. So I put that in.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it this the fourth or fifth assassination attempt on Trump?
I think this is the fifth.
That's what I thought.
I mean, he's had a couple other attacks. Like, I mean, there is the English idiot that was going to drive a forklift and he got stopped before it even came to materialization. He was somehow his grand plan was to drive a forklift into the beast. Not sure if that would have worked, but I kid you not. And then there was like some other guy that tried to take a cop's gun. He was arrested before the president was even in the area. So, I mean, he's got like 25, right now he's got like 25 prosecutions where people are locked up for threats on him. And then, I mean, I guess maybe they'll start bringing back the ricin, letters that they used to send to Obama and other members. And I'm waiting for those to break out now.
Wow. Crazy work, man.
I forgot about the rice letters.
Yeah. There was the ricin, and then they had, what was the other? The anthrax, too. Yeah, they had the anthrax, too. Yeah, I was about to say that the anthrax and the ricin. They've been doing ricin for a longer time than the anthrax. I think the anthrax just came out with Obama. And yeah. It's crazy. Crazy work, man. Crazy fucking work. I mean, I really feel like this motherfucker is everybody's maybe Epstein this and money hungry this or that. I mean, he's for the money for sure. He's about business. He's a businessman. That's what we voted him in for. But he literally, I believe, I'm convinced that he's about legacy. He gives a fuck more about his name than he does more about, they might talk shit while he's alive, but when you unpack him, God forbid, he died earlier and everything, but you unpack his legacy, it's hard to indict that man for the shit that they're saying. It's hard to put that on him. Like, I can't see.
I agree with that.
I see how people can be manipulated, but just saying, the shit that they're saying about him, like, I just can't see it. Like, dude, like, he brought trillions of dollars in new investments to America, bro.
If he walks away with his goal of $21 trillion investment, now it'll be a few years before we see that trickle down.
Right.
But if he brought $21 trillion, by the time he leaves, that's literally over half of what our deficit is. That's just, he'll go down as the greatest president in our history, giving us a sustainability for another 250 years. Like multiple administrations will be bankrolling off of that. You can't do that. And he's reshaped the political landscape, and he might bring peace to the Middle East, or at least some sort of stability. He's already made some inroads there. So, I mean, he may actually achieve. He will definitely go down as one of the most prominent presidents in our history, and his name will be long remembered. But I think you're right. He wants a legacy that says he's the best, and he was a great president, and people look back on him with kindness because he's always been about his name and his family, and he wants that. And I just feel bad for Barron because that kid is fucking tall as hell. And I can't imagine being Secret Service and being like trying to guard that poor teenager.
He's up next, Brad. He's up next. And you know what? As long as the stock market is up, I don't give a fuck what Trump does. Fuck the Epstein files. Let's fucking go.
But here's the thing about the Epsteins. There's not one, you gotta consider the source. Two, there's nothing in there that indicts him on any fucking thing. And then three, it's like he left him alone when he told the FBI in 2006 to go after him and Ghislaine. And the emails about Trump and all of this, that, and the third didn't come out until 2019. And he was what then at the time? The president. So of course, you're fucking mad. You're a fucking convicted pedophile. You're still dealing with left and right wing motherfuckers. And you you have all these different connections and resources. Your own buddy is now the president of the United States. You don't like him because he kicked your freaky ass out of his motherfucking place, and you was a part of some goofy ass shit for many years that he didn't want to be a part of anymore. And he let the FBI know, which means you know that he talked about that before he was even the fucking president. So if anything, the collaboration information gathered from files, with most people ain't read no 3 million emails, let alone one. That operates him though. So the obsession with him is just like, when I see shit like that, I automatically start to question the source. Like, you're saying all this shit about this guy, but a lot of things aren't sticking. What are you really after him for? Yeah, what are you really after him for? What's motivating you to want to take him down that much? That's too much effort.
Money is the root of all evil, bro. That's what.
The love of money is a tool. It's also a hell of a character filter. I see money do a lot of good stuff. What's that guy's name on Facebook? Zach something? That does it. He acts like he's supporting shit against people money. No, not Mark Zuckerberg. This is one white guy.
I know who you're
He's
talking about. Yeah,
he's a wealthy guy.
He just walks around like he's homeless and he finds people
He's super cool. I like watching his shit. His content dope and it's authentic to me. You know what I'm saying? And he be changing people's lives and shit. He got even the celebrity kids, and the celebrities' kids are following him. Like, that's a good positive thing, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even do a lot of. Nah, he goes by Zeke or Zach something. I forget his fucking last name. It's like I can't pronounce his last name like that. Like he's been some Bible school type shit. I don't fucking know. But he's he's a cool motherfucker though, man. And at the end of the day, that's all. It goes back to the point that money is not the root of all evil. It's the love of it. When it becomes your God and you'll do anything for it, that's when it becomes problematic.
You know, I used to think it was money. I no longer, my age, think that it's money. I think it's power. I think money is just a stepping stone to help you get power, but I think what really is truly the evil that we have is power. Because once they get it, they can't go. Look at AOC. She's done nothing for her district. She's brought nothing in terms of creation. She's boosted her portfolio, but she hasn't done anything for the people of that area. She's stomped on jobs. She stomped on investment opportunities there. She cheered on McDonald's, the mayor of New York, and now she's really good at making Instagram speeches, and acting like she's a victim. But she hasn't done it. But she craves that power. She isn't willing to step aside, and she wouldn't bite the hand that was making her the money. She never once. She did sit in at Nancy Pelosi's office and then bent over and said, "Yes, dear Aunt Nancy, I'll take it any way you want to." And once she got her hands on that money, and once she got her hands on, guess what? Congressional seats, and it was able to get her Instagram likes, and she liked influencing, and she liked a little semblance of power. But she can't win a Senate seat.
Just like the chick from Texas that got defeated. What's her name? Jasmine. Her goofy ass. I can't claim her, man. Like, listen, I love my black women and every damn thing, but that woman is an imposter. I have yet to see a true honorable. Not to say that they don't exist, but I have yet to see a true honorable, clearly like righteous fucking politician. Like, they're worse than drug dealers. There's drug dealers that got more moral compass than most of these motherfuckers. In fact, most of the most egregious crimes and indictments come from these people. Even the brother that killed him and his wife, and while his kids were at home, Virginia and shit. Like, Virginia lieutenant governor just a week ago.
Shocking on Crockett. You're not going to believe I'm saying this, but in some ways, I wish she had won that primary, because the guy that she lost to, his politics and his policies are so far left and so disturbing. Tallarico, I don't know, again, if I'm saying his name right, but as nuts as she is, she's not as extreme as the guy that ended up winning that primary. And I never thought I'd be defending Jasmine Crockett, but he's pretty bad.
But can you give me a contrast of the difference between their politics?
With the gender affirming stuff, he's Tallarico's like super far left. I mean, that's one issue that pops out with him, but I'll try to give you like his main policy. He's like a Beto, only more to the left than Beto O'Rourke was. And Crockett, as a member of Congress, was not a squad member. You know, she definitely, I agree with you on a lot of stuff about her, but she wasn't as extreme as the squad, to my knowledge, and someone can tell me I'm wrong on this, but I don't think she was.
I don't know if you call her a squad, but the fact that she didn't win her election seat, it was gifted to her. And I'll give this, like, I don't like Al Green's politics, but I can tell you what, visiting Texas, here's something that Jasmine didn't do that Al Green does. There was a problem with pretty shitty apartment buildings around here. A lot of people were complaining about elevators, especially for those 55 and older communities. Most of these happen to be minorities or elderly, poor, impoverished areas. So Al Green showed the fuck up. Even outside of his area, he took time out. He left the fucking thing to go down to his people. He showed up, he sat there and said, hey, these ACs have been off for a month, and he's sitting down there having a glass of water with a 90-year-old woman and listening to her complaining. He actually listened. Then he got on the phone calls. He called other people. He brought them in. I have a lot of complaints about Al Green's policies and his actions, but when it comes to being there for his constituencies, the motherfucker shows up. You can't take that away from him. There's a respect level, and he showed up. Jasmine never did that for anybody in her district. Never showed up to help absolutely anybody.
Well, when you can manipulate the stocks with your vote and get rich doing that and really not have to do shit, you have a whole staff that looks over legislation and you have an agenda that you vote and follow and you get paid six figures and get all this other shit and fanfare it's an easy sell. That's why I'm saying some of the most corrupt people I've ever met are politicians. Bankers are second.
Yeah,
The investment pool and the political pool. Oh man, that's just the jacuzzi inside of the hot. That's like the hot tub inside of the pool. Like they're both do the same shit. It's just, you know what I mean. Which one do you feel comfortable in?
Yeah, it's like that girl out of Florida, 25th district, saying that she took donations.
My name is James Sean Thomas the 4th, 16th. Start playing with buttons. Yo, am I in a room? Can you hear me? You could hear me?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just that guy.
Yeah, but anyway, it's like that congresswoman out of Florida that she just resigned, but she was going to face, they were going to remove her out of Congress, and she's walking around and saying, I never spent $3 million on a yellow diamond ring, and when they do the investigation, she violated the laundry list of ethics, which I find laughable, but because probably all of them done it, but she's got the diamond ring on during one of her speeches and a couple other incidences while she's up at the fucking in DC. And she's like, and they're just like, here's a picture of you wearing the fucking ring.
That's crazy.
It's about
It's AI.
Rico. One of the things he said is God is non-binary. He's had some radical stuff about they're saying too radical for Texas. A lot of gun control. I mean, in a state like Texas, so things like that.
Being shit like that, it's probably good that he changed his. Jasmine seems like she would have been more palatable than he would have been, but that's a good thing, you know. I mean, here's the thing, guys. We're not going to pretend that America doesn't have blood on their hands and karma doesn't exist. It is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a fucking American, so I don't. I mean, it would be nice to visit China or even do business. It would be good if America and China had better relations. Honestly, I wish they could find a pathway. That would be nice if they could all get along in terms of money and everything else. But there's going to be things that are going to happen that's going to make the human race have to come together. I can see it in our lifetime. There will be events that will force inflection points to where it's not going to be about black and white. It's not going to be about shine the finger at anybody else knowing that there's three pointing back at me, but I'm going to rather be on this side of the fence than the other. I don't want to live in China and be up under their political system. I believe in America, it is racism. It is some bullshit out there in South America. It's fucking beautiful, and I feel safer there. But at the same time, I don't have the same freedoms or the same infrastructure as I live in America. I see from a business opportunity or a business position that if America can get their house in order, right, internally, we would be better positioned to lead. And I believe, in my opinion, that that's what Trump wants to do. Whether he does it or not, or whatever the case, however anybody else frames it, I think they literally probably share some of the same things. But America should lead that cause. Who else better, right? It's just, time will tell. Time will tell. And I'm not one of those motherfuckers that want to see, America's going to lose this war with Iran. I don't want to fucking see that. I'm in the house. Why would I want it to burn down?
I mean, the American Empire is fairly strong. I mean, we get a lot of attacks, and it's weird. Everyone tries to emulate being America. But they also stand there with their hands outstretched. They're like, yes, give me. When you actually start looking at countries and looking at it, like all this stuff, you're just like, wow, we really do pay for the world. We do subsidize literally the world and then protect it at the same time. So it's kind of a crux. Everybody hates you when you're on top, and they don't. And I always say this: America has, yeah, right. But America has no true allies. We don't have any friends. We'll have alliances based on convenience and monetary value. And as long as we keep doing what we do, we'll still have those, and we'll stay in top. And then eventually another empire will come, but we'll all be dust in the wind and be forgotten about.
You know what though? I agree with you. And there's a paradox to that though. Like what you just said. I'll go to another country and they'll shit on Americans, but love us at the same time, right? We're like literally some of the same people that'll be on my dick in South America because I'm black and American will try and shine on me in America. So if they come to America and they're white or white looking, they'll leverage that, right? Or they'll literally like, well, black Americans, blah 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 blah. But when I'm in your country, you want to charge me 4 times as much. You want to invite me everywhere. I'm a celebrity there, right? You come to there, you think that you're like this, and they don't fucking like you. Like, I have to tell us that you're less than black people in America just because you got this skin. As soon as you start talking that quality shit, that's, you know what I'm saying? You see how you people being treated on the news, right? So it's just like, but that's something that America has to get rid of. And I'll tell you this, man. If America deals with the issue of race for real, once and for all, then they'll be in a real moral position to lead. That's all you have to do. You do that, it literally will change the world.
How so?
Well, it's the moral compass. So there's this always, it boils down to morals, moralities, what's ethics, who should lead, why. It kind of deals with that once and for all. But then the other side of it too, globally, it unlocks a whole new level of leadership, but culturally, but and also financially too. You just talk numbers. Racism has cost America a lot of money. And if you undo that or reinvest into your people, you can go a lot further, a lot quicker, with more influence. There's a pathway to everything. But the thing that we don't want to let go of, the thing that's hardest to debate and deal with, is that topic right there, that and religion.
Cypher, is there a country in the world that doesn't have?
I would say there probably Chinese, the Cambodia, Thailand, there's a whole ethnic conflict there. In the same way in fucking Africa. Right now, you got South Africa beefing with Nigerians and Ghanaians. Right? You have Russia and fucking Ukraine beefing. They talk the damn near same language, look the goddamn same, and they're beefing. But there's something what's going on. I honestly believe that all of this stuff is leading up to different events, and there's going to be something else that's going to happen that's going to make people question a lot of different things, and they're going to have to, it might be like the 9/11 event. I never saw that many people come together like that for a sustained period of time. I think the next thing after that was maybe COVID from a global glance, right? When 9/11 happened, I saw all people coming together to pull people out of the rubble. United American, this, that, and the third. For a good strong 18 months, I was riding that way. I was like, oh yeah, this is bullshit. But then, certain things started to come out, but those events happened and it changed the world, literally, right? So there's something else that's going to happen. I don't know exactly what it is, but I hope that it's a choice that we make versus something that happens to us that we have to climb out of. If that makes sense.
Yes, for 9/11, people came together, but the political parties were still divided. Because right after it, the Democrats, and they shut up about this very quickly, they said, oh, it's our fault that 9/11 happened. And then they looked around and saw the rest of the country going, what the hell are you talking about? And then they shut up about it. But eventually that narrative came out. If we had to interfere in the Middle East, then we wouldn't have had these problems. Narrative. Now, I don't want to debate that whole issue, but politically, but yes, I agree. Like when you look at the people on the ground and the support that the actual citizens of this country felt towards each other after 9/11. There was a sense that, yeah, we got attacked and we're coming together and we will, we're gonna do something about this. But politically, the Democrats went underground for a while, but they never stopped being Democrats. And the difference and this is conjecture on my part, but when you look at from the 1930s to the 1940s, the leftists, the neoliberals hadn't formed yet, and they were, they were still, actually, never mind that, because I'm realizing then around, never mind that whole thing. I was sort of thinking off the top of my head, but, the two political, we'll just say the two political parties were more closely aligned, I think, during World War II. And certainly you had dissent, but it somehow seems different. I could be wrong on that last point, but
Well, I think though, I get what you're saying, Alan, and I appreciate your perspective on that, but I really think that the original sin of America was causing the divide. It's not a political party, right? It's not the Republican and Democrat. It's literally about good and evil. It's really about the both parties haven't served this country very well. They both have flaws. They both have a lot of things that combined together has oppressed their own people and other people around the world. That's the truth. if I come from.
Yeah, Cypher, you and I disagree. We address.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can still appreciate what you said, even though we don't agree on. I do believe that the government. Hold on, before you cut me off. I do believe that the government did something with 9/11. There's evidence that suggests that. I do believe that fucking COVID shit happened with China, America, and a whole bunch of other shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel that way about that. But it doesn't dismiss the impact. The reason why the world has a problem with American authority, though, is legitimate to a degree. Even though America could be right about their approach to certain shit, but if you don't have your own house fixed and you're not a moral leader of any goddamn thing. I mean, let's just be real. We are protecting our interests, and yes, we do look out for a lot of countries, right? We do have influence. We did do some things for countries that we knew that were fucked up. We did some egregious things. We can't ignore that, Alan. Only thing I am saying, the focal point of what I'm saying is that doesn't mean that you don't have a right to self-determination yourself. You have a job to do to stay on top, right? We have a job to do. I'm an American, a real American, sent by blood and by work. And by every means and stretch of the imagination, I'm a real fucking American. But I can't sit here and say that the house that I come from ain't got blood on the walls. Doesn't mean I want you to come and burn it down.
I appreciate the degree to which you look at it. The problem is, from my viewpoint, is the obsession with the sin, to use your term. I mean, this is a country that is sin, but is also obsessed with correcting that sin, and has done huge things, not only for its own citizens, but huge things for other countries. You say, well, they've done some things for other countries. No, they have done a lot of things for other countries at the expense of our own country multiple times, more than any other country. Now, the fact that we have gained from it is irrelevant, and it's irrelevant because it's irrelevant because everybody gains, and there's lots of issues that we.
What's irrelevant though? I missed that part, brother.
Okay, I couldn't find the words. There's lots of countries with lots of issues that we could have gained from, and yet we chose whatever the particular ones we happen to choose. Right now, we could go to China and say, well, we don't like the way you're treating your Muslim population, and we're going to go to war over it. And we would gain a lot financially, but we're not. And that's okay, But
when you say the obsession of the sin, what do you mean by that? Can you go in on that area?
Well, we don't have the right to have any kind of moral authority because of the sins of our past.
Why? Explain that. Explain your thinking.
Those sins. Why? Well, let's start with the sins like what we did in other countries. Okay? Like, when I was in college and after college, it was all about what we did in South America. Well, the Soviet Union was fucking with South America. We fucked back. Who would you rather have taken over your country? The Soviet Union or the United States?
contrast to that really quickly? You mind if I give you a contrast? Just want a conversation with you too. I want to hear you out there. You mind? Okay, gotcha.
That was, no, that was considered a stain on the moral authority.
And you know how they won that war was poisoning their own citizens and criminalizing them and fucking up generations of people who are, again, coming out of, other traumatic issues. Like the funds from trafficking cocaine to your own urban neighborhoods and creating laws to lock up those people that makes more money. Like actions of oppression on certain groups of people to win that war and influence. There was a moral compass. This
Iran-Contra scandal was the determining factor in that war.
Well, no. Hear me out though. The funds from it, the proceeds that kept the engine running, was seeded from that, and that directly fucked up my communities.
It wasn't seeded from that though.
Where did the funds come from?
No, the Iran-Contra scandal started when Congress, that whole thing you're talking about, using cocaine to fund the war against the Contras, started after Congress cut off funds.
Right. So what does that have to do with my point?
That didn't seed the war.
It was already why. I get what you're saying. Correction.
Yeah.
I'll admit that. But still, it kept the engine going, is what I said too. It kept kept that going. So what I'm saying is that is an egregious fucking that right there is you should give reparations for that alone. And I'm not begging for reparations. I'm not one of the motherfuckers that like, oh, I need reparations. I think it's owed and all that other stuff. I think it's legit and it's definitely it's owed. But we can go with just that right there. Like that is something where a country should be like, I did fuck up about 50 years or 40 years plus of a whole generation, like people, a whole demographic of people locked them up. I created laws behind it. I destabilized neighborhoods, broke up families, and made money off of the abortions and the foster children and sex trafficking them. And it's all kinds of nefarious shit that's involved in that, right? And it's never dealt with the sins. So, no, you are not a legit moral authority on anything. You're just in the position of power. And because you're in a position of power, of course, you want to protect that position, right? Because, like Matt said earlier, they don't like you when you're on top, they hate you when you're on top, and they don't respect you at the bottom.
Yeah, but does the fact that they funded that war through cocaine and that it fucked up people in this country, does that change the moral position in the war in South America? That doesn't change the fact. No, it doesn't.
It literally does change it because now those countries are they're benefiting. A lot of their export is that, and they've been dependent on that for 40 years, and now you want to cut it off. You should have never started.
I'm talking about the issue of American influence versus Soviet influence.
But the Soviets weren't trafficking drugs.
No, the Soviets just wanted to completely, oppress the people of those countries.
In what way?
Which is worse? Getting people addicted on drugs or completely oppressing them?
Well, give me an example of the policies the Soviets were trying to enact.
Well, would you want to live in the Soviet Union in the 1960s?
Educate me about it. I was born in 81.
Well, if you don't understand what communism is about.
I do understand it. I want to understand it from your frame point. I understand what it is. I just want to understand from your viewpoint.
I'm talking about it from an objective viewpoint.
Okay, me too. So I want to understand yours.
Okay, communism is bad.
Why?
Solzhenitsyn, read Solzhenitsyn. Yeah, thank you, Michaela.
By the way, I should remind you, I'm an American, and I prefer what I got set up for myself right now. But I just want to understand your point, so I'm challenging you by asking why do you feel like it's bad?
You would have nothing set up for yourself. Let's start with that.
You can be an entrepreneur in communism, right?
No.
Oh, you can't have a private industry like that's backed by the government? Like being a government contractor?
It depends. If you're in
You
China,
can't do that in communism?
if you're in China, you can do that. That's like open market communism. It's a little different.
Maybe less than 1% of the population was able to engage in those activities. But that's because you were the party elite. That's it.
But everybody below a certain tier gets paid the same pretty much, right?
Nothing. Yes,
Let me ask you this. If China is the second wealthiest country in the world, right?
It's not the Soviet Union. Yeah, okay. Cypher, let me put it another way. Okay, because when I was a kid, okay, one of the ways they got us to eat was they would say, eat your food, people are starving in China. And we used to laugh. What they were referring to was, I forget the year, but I believe it was Mao Zedong decided that China was going to have the Great Leap Forward. So we forced all the farmers to change their farming equipment and modernize them to manufacturing equipment. They stopped making food. As a result, they stopped growing food, and within 5 years, 20 million people died. And that happened twice in China. That's communism. So we can start there and work our way down.
But what do you call America? America's a what?
A capitalist system of.
Or I thought it was a republic.
Well, the Constitution. We're talking about multiple things here. We're talking about the type of governance it has, and we're talking about its financial system. In communism, they are both tied together.
I never knew of another country that sold their own citizens their death warrant.
Say that again?
I never knew of a country that sold their citizens drugs.
It's been such a long time, okay? But
it's still going on, sir.
Well, look, it's funny. I was just watching Dave Chappelle talking about the opioid epidemic and his perspective on it. And I love Dave Chappelle, but when I hear about when he compares the opioid epidemic, which affected mostly white people, and the crack cocaine epidemic, which affected mostly black people. When you go to your doctor and your doctor prescribes a drug, you assume you're going to a doctor which you assume has training and is licensed and is sanctioned by the government. If you go to some punk on a street corner and buy a drug from him and you don't understand that it's illegal and it's bad for you, that's on you. I don't care how that drug ended up on that street.
Same way with the crisis in the white community, the overdoses from what's this shit called? Fentanyl.
Fentanyl? No, well, the issue with fentanyl is that it's put in drugs and people don't know it. Now,
but people buy it on the streets.
if they are
illegally,
taking,
and they know it.
now look, if they're taking fentanyl and they're taking
Methamphetamines,
actual,
ketamine, ice.
yeah, you
That's
know
a
what,
very big
Cypher?
problem. It's killing tens of thousands of people a year.
Yeah, you know what, Cypher? I give you that point, 100%. 100%. If you're going and going and buying fentanyl directly on the street, yeah, it's on you. It's on you.
Yeah.
But in my example, it was the comparison between the opioids, which at the time that it happened, it was people who were getting prescriptions, from their doctors, getting hooked. And now then, if you were going, like, I remember there was like some town, I forget the state, there were like 300 people in the town, yet they were writing $3 million in opioid prescriptions per year out of one drugstore. Yeah, that's on you. That's on you,
Yeah. I mean, you know that in 2019, summer 2019, J.P. Morgan boat got caught with 20,000 metric tons of cocaine. Do you think that they were going to a suburban neighborhood or an urban neighborhood?
Well, that's a good
2019.
question. Because I seem to remember seeing this commercial, which was, mostly for white people. It's like, they said it was like, 20%, and the numbers I'm saying aren't accurate, but it was like 20% of drug use is in the inner cities. Where do you think the other 80% happens? And it's some white kid on a bike, like riding it's like he buys some drugs. It takes place in a suburban neighborhood. So, yeah, I think by the numbers, I'd be curious to see what that is.
I mean,
But
I'm saying
I mean,
the
look,
father
we're
is still
getting.
with the son.
Say that again.
I was saying the sins of the father are still within the son. It never went anywhere. So that's when you said the obsession with it. The reason why I went through that line of question was to say that it never went anywhere. It's still here. It's part of the buckery. The reason why America is not as great as it could be, and it's never been as great as it could be, is because that original sin never been addressed.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Cypher, who's forcing anybody to buy those drugs?
Forcing?
Yeah, I mean, look.
You said forcing?
Cypher,
Oh no, it's called. I mean, here's the thing. You're right. Nobody is forcing. There is accountability on the other side of this. Let's be honest. Here's the thing. When you create the conditions, you can't blame the byproduct of those conditions or the environment you set. It's to be expected. It was designed that way. It was designed with the intent of the output that you see. So it would be clinically, mentally unwell of a person to judge that which they create.
It's a physician's recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, Cypher, look, I don't disagree with that. There certainly were many things done, and there certainly were many government policies that certainly affected various communities and had negative impacts on them.
But none like ours. We're literally the only people in the world that any of these combinations of things have happened for such a period of time, and we never took over the country. We never was super violent in our reactions. You had some resistance, for sure, but you really ultimately had the same people going to war for you and winning every war. Without us, you would have lost every war. Without us, you wouldn't have a country. Without us, you wouldn't have modern civilization. But the decipher, and I don't want you to have it because I want to hold on to power.
Yeah, I think I decipher with all respect. I think you're over inflating the African Americans' importance in the development of this country, and you're over inflating the oppression to which African Americans have been subjected to in this country. Because
In what way?
I'm sure that the Irish in England would completely disagree.
Name of people that have gone through worse than.
It's the worst in the world.
Name of people that have gone through worse.
I just named one.
Who?
I just named one.
Who?
The Irish,
Okay.
Okay, what happened with the Irish?
2 million died, they couldn't recover their population.
Is Ireland still a country today?
Yeah, but half of the people had to leave.
Does Ireland have a seat at the United Nations?
Jeez, I don't know. But
Don't they have their same language? They got their own language.
yeah.
Hardly anybody speaks it.
1/3 of
And 2 million of them died. Did their government sell them drugs?
No, they starved them.
Is it still going on today?
No, and I don't think what you're talking about is going on today.
What part?
No, cipher. You can go back to Nigeria and speak the language of your.
That's not where I'm from, sir.
Yeah, well, I got bad news for you. All Africans come from Africa. So you want to go back?
Who was here when Columbus got here, sir? Who was here?
There's plenty of places. I don't know where you're from. Within the last 4 or 5 generations.
Not even 4 or 5 generations. Since the 1700s, my people, the European side, has been here, and they're Irish. And then my indigenous side, who's also in my PTRs, if you thumb through them, that older lady is my mother's great grandmother. My mother's 73 as of last week. God bless her. But that's her great grandmother, and she's pure blooded. And we have Blackfoot, Sioux, Seminole, Choctaw in our family, going back generations to generations.
And you
and they were reclassified. Some of them were reclassified as Negro.
Okay,
right?
But you can't speak those.
But my thing is that none of that makes sense. Ireland is still a country. It's actually a better country to live in economically than America because their average income is $76,000 a year on a 4-day work week. Like I tell all the foreigners, if you want to go anywhere and be great, fucking go to Ireland. Like that's some great shit over there. And there's Black Irish that's been over there, like that's been up there for generations and generations. I'm part of it. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty expensive these days.
But Ireland, there's no other people that been.
I think Irish over there to work.
Well,
yeah, they are there too. But here's the point. Here's the point that I'm making, guys. And I want to make this very clear to you guys. You're probably hearing me for the first time, but I want you to be very clear about this. Yeah, I mean, we go back a couple of years, brother, a few years.
Yeah.
But here's the point. Here's the point, though. I'm saying me saying that is not a victim thing. I don't want you to think like I'm holding on to that or that it's something that should be acknowledged and dealt with. I'm not denying that. But what my greater point is the value, Alan, that you said I'm overinflating. You would not have the stoplight, central air, the heating, cooling, GPS, fucking blood transfusions, heart transplants, a clock, the light bulbs, fucking the internet, like a lot of things that you do and don't know about our contributions, even the 50,000 plus modern patents that we actually got credit for, not including the ones that were stolen from us because we didn't have the ability to patent. Not the militias, not even to mention the 5,000 man militia and the Revolutionary War, and the fact that Crispus Attucks is a black man. And John Hancock, not John Hancock, but the other guy who was the interim president before Washington was a black Moor. You know what I'm saying? Like, without us,
Yeah,
brother.
that's all.
Like you say I overinflated it. I was being very humble in saying it that way.
Sorry.
And that being the same, but at the same time, though, Alan, that's what makes America fucking great. Is that even though that this happened to these people, we still managed to be the 8th richest people on the planet just by way of spending. Our own shit, the pain that we went through is a catalyst for success, and it speaks volumes to the God that we serve.
Yeah, cipher. And that's
because only we could do that,
when
right?
you look at every one
And
of
we're Americans, though. That's what makes y'all
they've
look
all
good too.
been okay. I'm sorry. When you look at those actual claims and the people they speak about, they've all been debunked. If they didn't invent
Name one.
like let me think about this one. Yeah, like you look at the light bulb. No, the guy who they credit with the light bulb, when you look at his patent, it was an improvement on the manufacturing process to manufacture filaments after, and it's like 20 years after Edison invented it, or it's an improvement on some other process. They were not the creators of it. Now you want to know they
Well,
go
I mean,
the list.
where are you sourcing this from?
Where am I getting?
Like I think you're pulling that out your ass.
Look up the patents, and that's what you find. Now
I have a few of them.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the list, you come up. You know the ice cream scoops where there's like a gear and you do it. That they invented. That's one. The other one is the idea.
What about the mask, sir? What about the mask?
The other one.
What about the stoplight?
Refrigerated trucks.
What about the airplane?
The airplane. Oh, so it wasn't.
What about the car?
Yeah.
Right, Pat?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It's interesting though. I'm talking about the good and the things that we've done that made America great.
Yeah,
and you're literally trying to shoot it down. Hold on. Like, look, pay attention to this. Let me finish my sentence, and I'll go back on mute. You literally are shooting down everything that I'm saying that makes us great, but then you want to be the moral authority of the free world, and you Tory. Like, what is that? What are you doing?
Because the issue is.
We're both Americans, right?
Yes. So yes, and as an American,
You have to debunk my shit, huh?
And appreciate the contribution.
It doesn't sound like it sounds like you're trying to downplay it.
Well, I can appreciate them.
But it sounds like you're trying to downplay it, though. If you appreciate it, why are you downplaying it?
Of all of that is you owe us, therefore you have to pay us back.
No, that's the moral thing to do.
Yeah, we've paid you back $11 trillion. And when the Jews in Germany got 20, excuse me,
$11 trillion? What do you mean?
I think it's 20 billion.
Who paid Black Americans $11 trillion?
Billions. Yeah. When?
Hey, not too much in the juice case.
When? When you look at the war on poverty and the civil rights programs, which
$11 trillion is what you said.
when you look at, yes, they went to both white and black poors and white and black people. And when you look at the proportions of how much money went to African Americans, and remember when both those bills were signed, okay, Johnson was surrounded by the black leaders of the time. The number you come up with.
Do you remember what Johnson said about black leaders and black people?
$11 trillion.
$11 trillion. Man, listen.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Alan, you don't have to defend it, brother, because the more you do it, the more before you discredit yourself, brother.
Here's the final point. I'm interested in solutions that actually work. And now
We're talking about it and you get uncomfortable.
No, I'm not uncomfortable at all. We're 70 years, 60 years later, and according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, racism is still as rampant as ever. So clearly, and we start looking at the numbers of the disparities between whites and blacks when it comes to crime, when it comes to birth rates, when it comes to marriage rates, on and on and on. If you look at those numbers, we've spent $11 trillion, and those problems are solved. I'm not interested in spending any more money on those issues, number one. And number two, I think the time of giving the importance to 13% of the population and saying that their narrative needs to be the narrative of America is over. Because I've lived through.
How can you even shut that off? Like, how can you validate that? Like, hold on, slow down, Alan, slow down. We're just having a conversation. So if you're saying that my people, 13% of the population, which we're far bigger than that, but 13% is what you call us, a number, right? Should that our narrative, which is actual literal history documented by people that look like you, isn't a narrative that everybody should adhere? If it's the truth, are you saying that people should believe a lie to uphold some kind of power, moral, you know what I'm saying? Some kind of resolution for power and authority? Like, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying even if you accept it as the truth, the idea that sin, and I'll even use that word, needs to be addressed on and on and on and on.
Oh, no. Nobody's saying that this is a perpetual thing.
Yeah,
like,
well,
so there's a real thing. Like Alan, I think you missed the benefit of what that redress would look like. Like, people would stimulate the economy, the global economy. That's fine, Alan. But let me jump in here because I'll let you go for a while. But literally, like, if you did that with Black Americans today, do you understand how many jobs you would create, how much new innovation you would create, how you could say you actually addressed the issue and repaired those people, and it would greatly stimulate the economy overnight because motherfuckers would just go out and spend. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you release it to money alone, because there's a lot of other things that money can do, like tax-free to 33, tax-free again, 66 till death, free education for the colleges that they not apply for, but they qualify for. If you qualify to get that college, you go for free, right? And then there's some money there, right? There's some mental health primarily. Like, you gotta start with that, mental health, right? If you start it, the crime goes down, education, innovation goes up, it stimulates the global economy, and you dealt with the moral issue through a financial repair that automatically came back. It's a reimbursement. We're an investment vehicle. We stimulate whole economies. We drive markets. Our influence in every area of sports, tech, science, media, entertainment, all of the above. It stimulates the world. And guess what? We're interwoven together. You just got a problem with dealing with the fuck shit your ancestors and
And I
parents
just want to
did.
shout out to LeBron James Sr. and LeBron James Jr. for carrying the Lakers past
Thank
the
you. That's right.
Houston Rockets. We have a 41-year-old grown man in his sperm, his
Good ass game.
his son, who's 21 years old, on the same court during a playoff game in the NBA playoffs. Let's fucking
First time
go.
ever. And he generates billions and trillions of dollars and just influence globally. So I'm just saying, bro.
Money
Like,
for Cleveland, Ohio, which is almost fucking impossible. Let's get
and I'm from the O, not too much on the O. I'm from that kid. Not from Cleveland. Shout out. Yeah. No, 08.
Yes,
sir.
I know.
Yeah, well,
If you could fucking legend. LeBron brought a few of those.
Yeah, he brought the first ring, brought the Cavs ring. He brought that Cavs ring there.
That shouldn't even be a real sentence that came out of anyone's mouth, but that's a fact, unfortunately. I'm not a Cavs.
You know what's also a fact? Larry Bird beat Michael Jordan 6 times in the playoffs. So we got
what, man? Alan, are you a fucking covert racist or what? What the fuck? He is a fucking hater. Larry Bird is one of my guys, though. Don't get it twisted. That's guy.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Once you went to basketball, all bets are off.
Allen is an asshole. He gotta throw the white man in there. You been at the game,
Larry Bird, he hates you.
Right. He's wild, man. Nah, man. Allen's my guy, though. Don't get it twisted. It's been a minute since we had these healthy debates.
You never saw Bird crying on the floor because he got fouled. I'm sorry.
He wasn't a good actor.
You know what, Cypher? Maybe we should just end the conversation there. We could keep going back and forth, but
yeah, man. But all I'm saying is at the end of the day, it does go back to what I said earlier, about Trump. Yeah. He is the solution. I think that Trump's existence as a president is a solution to this because it highlights both sides of the coin. On one side, I believe that fundamentally he's right about a lot of his global politics. I in an alignment with. I understand it. But hold on, let me finish the sentence, brother. But the other side of it, though, it just highlights the undergird of what everybody else is complaining about, and that's why I said it serves as a utility pocket knife because he has many different vertical sides to it, right? And it can cut either way. I can see that shit. But your argument though, Alan, is that you don't want to deal with that though, and that's where we disagree.
Alan, let me ask you something real quick. Did you see Zoran Mamdani's statement about the Armenian genocide yesterday? And if so, what are your thoughts? I need to know.
I think every year that there are certain politicians who come out and say, yes, I support the Armenian genocide, and I'm sick and tired of hearing it from politicians. They're pandering to the Armenian population, and when the fact is, first of all, no one in the Middle East cares about what some mayor of New York has to say about it. And second of all, the United States has never lifted a finger when it actually needed to do anything for the country of Armenia. So it is exactly what it is. It's pandering and nothing more.
But do you think he's pandering to who?
That's all. That's all.
There's probably more Turks in New York City.
Probably, I don't know. I'd have to look that. What does he win?
What does he win out of that? Because Mayor Adams was deeply Turks.
And when it comes to that issue, some land on the side of Turkey, some land on the side of Armenia. It's that's what it is. But yeah, look, they get a certain amount of votes because they will make that statement, and then some Armenians will, he understands us, he supports us, we gotta vote for him.
I just thought his statement was very deep about Armenia. You never hear that of an American call.
Oh, well, maybe you're paying attention to me more so because he's got some more notoriety. So the fact that he said it, he got, people notice more. But, I've heard that before. I give making people aware of that more than anyone else.
Making it a concept about us.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's there with Kim Kardashian, and now all his fans who've never heard. First of all, they've never heard of her. They might not have even known that she was, half Armenian. And now he's giving a concert, and they went to the memorial.
You give him credit for his song. Just question, like all of his fans who maybe did not know who he was possibly, and now they sing Bill Hitler.
Kanye.
Yeah, you gotta remember that.
He apologized, bro. He apologized.
Well, I'm just wondering. I just wanted to see what he thought about that, since you give him credit for.
We thought that he was hard as fuck, but we know Kanye has mental health issues, bipolar, so we give grace, as we would want people to give grace to us. Kanye, as a rap artist, was the best live performance I've ever been to than any rap artist in my whole life. Okay. Do you understand?
How many performances have you seen?
I've seen him once at the LA Coliseum.
Talking about in whole.
I've seen.
How many performances have you seen? Music.
Good question. I've seen dozens of rap performances who've all been horrific, and singing every other lyric out of their song, not giving a fuck, very lazy performances. I didn't do that. He gave the people what they wanted, man.
You seen Ice Cube perform? Because he was the best I've ever seen.
I have not. I'll be honest. I'm a little younger though. I'm a little bit younger. Go here. I'm a little bit younger. I'll be real.
This is an ignorant question from a woman who's lived through the 60s and 70s. And what do you think of black music being taken over by rap? Do you think there was any kind of conspiracy there from the music business? If you're going to talk about...
That's a deep question because, the popular music and the hip-hop genre is not necessarily the most positive, right? So usually the rappers who get signed to certain labels and contracts are getting signed to promote degeneracy, murder, polygamy, all sorts of extramarital affairs, violence. And I think that's more about the music industry rather than anything to do with black culture, because it's a predatory ass industry.
Yeah, it's not. My nephew is in the music, is a musician, been involved, and he has no truck with it. He's gone on his own, but I used to like black music, but I'm old.
Black music.
I think you're pretty young. I think, Cypher, how old are you? Like in your 30s or something?
No, I'm 45.
45? Really?
Yeah, and I'm trying to produce music for people in the music industry.
You produce music? So
Yeah, I did. From Busy Bone, Jadakiss, all of that shit since the 90s. 2000, I've been on tour with Janet Jackson and Genuine. I met Jay-Z a couple times, but I don't know him. But Cameron, Diplomat Records, we've had the same managements and
And now I got say black music rhymes, but the real shit you get when you bust down the lines.
But what do you mean by black
The
music?
fact that you.
But let me ask Michaela, are you referring to like 70s R&B?
Yeah, 70s, 80s. I mean, when did rap take over? 90s?
70s. Started in the 70s. 73 to 78.
No, really?
Yeah. There's actually my father had an album called Rap, and that's back in 1969. 1969.
Yeah, well, I guess I did like the R&B. I mean, that's
Well,
about
I mean, but you realize that the music, you do realize that the artists are expressing their perspective of life, right? And you guys have created an environment that produced this.
Yeah, if you find a rapper from the south side of Chicago, he's not going to be rapping about, you know, country music and, oh my god, I just took the fucking kids to school. He's fighting for pleasure.
Yeah. I think maybe what Alan and I have in common is that we're older, and we've heard this kind of we've known about what's happened to the black culture, black people for so long. We're waiting for, and we saw things getting better, and then to be honest, Obama came in and sort of reignited. You know, here we thought, oh great, we're really improving. We've got a black president, and then it just like reignited for the younger people stuff whether they had never heard of or something. They didn't know about their histories, and now they're focusing on the tragic history and not realizing how much things have improved. But one thing I do.
How old are you again? How old are you?
75. I'm 75.
My father would have been 76. 77.
You see the three
My mother just turned 73.
strikes.
Do you know that they grew up in southern Texas?
Your father?
Are you familiar with the Great Migration?
Yeah. From the south.
What do you know about
north?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From what
My
years?
sister-in-law is black. She went from the south to Chicago.
Boom. And my people went to Ohio from Texas. Right? Now, that right there alone for thousands and tens of thousands of people to migrate out of the South from early 1900 through 1970s, right? What the fuck kind of environment were they living in to where that had to happen?
Terrible, and they got out of it.
And they expressed themselves through music, and things continue to happen. Breaking up the families, busing, civil rights, killed their leaders, killed their leaders, the residual or rippling effects, it perpetuated all of this. And then you exploited it and made billions and trillions of dollars off of it and then blame what you don't like. I have to sometimes be humble too because I come from what you would call the old school. And I've made beats, I got shit on YouTube. I was in the streets for real and lost that opportunity, and now I've been in business for 23 years. But at the same time, like that experience for me back then, I seen the change. So I have to, when I run into little brothers sagging and shit, I don't come into my office. Now certain shit I just can't get with, like, I mean, get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Get out the way with that. But I tell them about these sagging pants, because my generation was the ones that put it forward, right? And I asked them, I said, like, you ever been in prison? And like, no, yeah, I'm like, look, and on the yard, that means you're advertising your ass, right? And then the second thing, if you had to run from the police or an adversary, you're not going to get very far. And if you have to fight, probably get your ass beat because you got to keep putting your pants up. So I apologize to whomever ill-advised you, young brother. It's not to your advantage to have your pants sagged. Men wear belts. Okay? And I always get a good feedback. Now, that's my responsibility as a young black man, right? Because I can't blame them and think that the environment that we created with motherfuckers is done over starter jackets, Jordans, video games, basketball games, the shit that was perpetuated. I can't think for a moment that they should be better based off of the environments that some of them were raised. Now, don't mistake this, because not all black people come from the ghetto, the hood, any goddamn thing. Most of us are very successful, productive citizens. We contribute greatly to the production and GDP of this country. But they're like every other race or ethnic group have their own degenerate societies. Ours was manufactured. It was never in our nature to be who we've been. Some of us didn't come from Africa. Some of us was bred and born in America on sex farms.
what I wanna ask about. I mean, what I've heard is that the black family was pretty together in the fifties, you know.
50s,
Uh,
the 60s,
the
70s,
60s
80s.
manufactured to destroy the family, black
Yeah,
family.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it. So,
But it
so
happened
there's
also
actual.
to the whites too, you know, because the sexual revolution, that's what was the 60s.
You guys took part in it. See, you're passing the poor whites and the poor blacks. They literally rock together too. Like if you heard the term redneck, it came from the 1920s, where the coal miners were fighting against the corporations that sent their private militia to go after them in West Virginia, and they had a shootout. And the way that you knew who was on your side is that the white boys would have to wear scarves, handkerchiefs around their necks, and it was black and white people dying side by side. That's why West Virginia to this day is still one of the most culturally, it's racist as fuck still, but it's it's interbred like a motherfucker. Like most people are mixed, right? So our stories are intertwined. It's just that the problem that most Europeans, Americans have is that they don't like to deal with the issue of race because of the way they were raised and how they benefited from it. Well, we were in the same
This
boat,
is
right?
the deal. I've seen in my lifetime the racial relations just improve so much, and for you to keep focusing on that, keep saying, I mean, it was getting better and better year by year.
When was it better though? When though? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm trying to ask when, because I have.
Well, from when I was a child, I know that the racism, you know, because my family, we didn't live in an area where there were blacks, and I know the attitudes of my family was they just didn't know anything about blacks, and they had prejudice, you know. But then my mother worked for the government, and then she worked with a lot of blacks, and I could see that easing up, and I could just see over the years.